This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Over the next 40 years, the United States population is going to grow by over 90 million people, and almost all that growth is going to be in cities. What's the healthiest and best way for them to grow so that they really become cauldrons of prosperity and cities of opportunity? What we have found is that if that family is moved into safe, green, affordable housing, places that have access to great school systems, access to jobs, and multiple transportation modes, then the neighborhood begins to thrive and really take off. The oxygen of community redevelopment is financing. And all this rebuilding that happened could not have happened without organizations like Citi.
One of the things that we really try to do is to collaborate with people like Jonathan Rose, who are really like-minded and really can also provide innovative solutions to social issues.
And Citi has formed a partnership with our company so that we can take all the lessons from the revitalization of urban America to other cities. So we're now working in Chicago and in Washington, D.C., and Newark.
It's branching off of Jonathan's expertise and the fact that he has done so many wonderful affordable housing projects, new development and rehabilitation work. And so we were really seeing that there was a need for his skill in areas even outside of New York.
It's amazing how important safe, affordable housing is to the future of our society.
You meet new people, they want to know what you do. And when you tell them your job is to invest in things like low-income housing and schools and healthcare, they're shocked and they're so surprised that a job like this exists in finance. They always say that they had no idea, and then they want to know how they can get a job like that.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
You think you know the story of Dracula? You have no idea. But I'm going to show you.
My enemies threaten to destroy my kingdom. I want the power to save my family.
Dreams.
Welcome to your life.
My name is Dracula.
There's a room where the light won't find you.
What's happening to you?
I chose this. Because men do not fear swords. They fear monsters.
This is not who you are.
There's always a prize for power.
Everybody wants to rule.
I will not be defeated!
The world.
Dracula Untold, in theaters and IMAX, October 10th. The Ouija board has existed for centuries. It is used to communicate with the dead.
If there's a presence here, please make yourself known. This is a joke. Oh my God. It's not even real, okay?
It's just a game.
Ouija.
We're saying goodbye!
Rated PG-13.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Tuesday, November 4th is Election Day 2014. Taking our country back can only begin when we turn the Senate red. So get out there and vote for the candidates on your ballot with the R attached to their names. No third-party votes. No write-in votes. This election is too important, and we cannot afford to split our votes. On election night, Tuesday, November 4th, tune in to CPRWorldwideMedia.com for full coverage as the results come in. This special report, Election 2014, will begin at 7 p.m. Eastern and will be hosted by Right Side Patriots Craig Andreessen and Diane Sori. It will include an all-star panel. The hosts of WTF, V. Wright and Jose Estevez. The hosts of Right Opinions and Charles Kaprowitz from the Legislative Roundtable. Let's take our country back. We are living in times where there is an assault on sanity. Political correctness has run amok and logic has been left by the wayside. Do you constantly ask yourself, WTF is going on in this nation? Do you sometimes feel like a stranger in your own country? Well, fear not. You are not alone. This is the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Show, coming to you from deep inside flyover country with your hosts, V. Wright and Jose Estevez.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is WTF, and I'm your host, V. Wright.
And I am Jose Estevez, your undocumented Mexican-American co-host, living the dream. And folks, I do have a dream, but I probably can't say that on the air right now. And I'm still looking forward to casting several more votes in the upcoming midterms in 5 short days. And this, my friends, is the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Show.
Well, senor, you know what? Before we even get started tonight, we have a bunch of people out there that have just been absolutely phenomenal at supporting our show since day one, and we need to acknowledge them. We've got Bradley and his group at Princeton University. We have our North Florida University group. We have our college kids over in Alabama. We also have some from Harvard and from Yale, from what I understand, tuning us in. And guys, y'all know that we just think y'all are absolutely amazing.
Yes, we do.
Everything that we do is with the intentions of passing the torches to you guys so that y'all can pass it to the little ones coming behind you. And just praying all prayers that we have some victories next Tuesday, and beyond that, that we can hold our boots on the necks of those that we elect so that they will do our bidding and turn this country around. Jose?
Well said, V. Well said. Folks, give us a call tonight, 313-462-0068. The number remains unchanged, 313-462-0068. We would love to hear from you. I think we're going to go right in tonight, V, talking about conservative activist James O'Keefe. How does that sound?
That sounds great to me.
You know what, folks? I don't know what's going on in North Carolina, but indeed it's happening all over. We've had a lot of stories out of North Carolina. But this James O'Keefe, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he started out working with Andrew Breitbart, and rest in peace to Andrew Breitbart. That was a great guy and a very good conservative patriot who wasn't afraid to make some waves, to say the least. But this young man worked with him and did a lot of undercover stings the last, I think since you-know-who has been in office. I don't even want to say his name tonight.
Are you talking about President Pandemic?
Well, okay, that there we go. There's other words to describe
Commander Caliph.
There's another one.
The Kenyan sucker.
African, yeah. Okay. Anyway,
okay.
So James O'Keefe has this Project Veritas, and they have a new video showing Democratic campaign workers appearing to condone and assist an individual posing as an illegal immigrant to vote in North Carolina. In the video, a woman pretending to be an illegal immigrant from Brazil asks a number of campaign workers, many working for candidates running for law enforcement offices in the state, if she can vote, despite being an illegal immigrant. Each person the video shows her asking answers. That is not a problem. Now, folks, it is legal for a non-citizen to vote, regardless of whether they have been inadvertently placed on the voter rolls or not. The State Board of Elections down there in North Carolina says there is more than 1,400 non-citizens on the voting rolls, which just boggles my mind. Why wouldn't they take them off if they know there's at least 1,400? And it is also illegal for a person to knowingly assist a non-citizen to vote. And I think we want to give a shout-out to Tori out there way on the West Coast, Northwest, who had brought that story to us about outside of the grocery store where they were signing people up, registering them to vote Democrat. So this is happening all over, and I don't know. It's just happening all over the place.
It absolutely is. I mean, in addition to the story that we got yesterday that would put approximately 6,300 illegal, unregistered voters on the rolls in Florida, the mischief that we're seeing with voting machines nationwide, that just strictly, some of them are not even taking the vote and turning it Democrat later. It's doing it right there on the screen in front of you. I saw a video today that someone had posted that they took with their camera phone
I saw that same
their
video.
polling location, and they kept hitting Republican, and it kept checking the Democrat box. They kept hitting it, and it kept checking. And, they're claiming that they're taking care of these situations, but I'm just not seeing it. And this is another reason why early voting is a problem.
It's fraught for deceit. It is it's ripe for them to do that, and they are, and of course that's the reason for it, I'm sure.
Beyond what y'all found in North Carolina, there's massive non-citizen voting going on in the state of Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland. I know.
And in Virginia, in all honesty, an elections integrity watchdog group, Virginia Voter Alliance, is suing the state of Maryland, alleging it has discovered massive and ongoing fraudulent voting by non-U.S. citizens in one county. But because of the way the non-citizens are able to cast votes in elections, the fraud is likely happening in every single county and subdivision across the state. The group believes that the illegal voting has been happening for years. Now, it says that it compared how voters in Fredericks County filled out jury duty statements compared with their voting records. Now, the group's investigation found that thousands of people in Fredericks County who stated that they are not U.S. citizens on jury duty forms went on to cast votes in elections. Now, either they failed to tell the truth when they were summoned for jury duty, or they cast illegal votes. It doesn't matter because both are a crime.
You're right. It doesn't matter.
The group... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, that group, the Virginia Voters Alliance, in addition to that, found that about 40,000 people are registered to vote in both Maryland and Virginia.
Wow.
40,000!
That's a big number. That's some big numbers. You start adding these numbers up, and then you see how many of our side sit out because of their self-righteousness in the last presidential election, and you wonder, gee, why are they winning? How can they win?
That's 80,000 votes between the two states.
I know.
Let's remember that the Gore run at the presidency was only won by a single state in Florida by 527 votes. So far, just between yesterday in Florida and today in Virginia, we have found well over 120,000 votes.
I know. Yeah, remember we had the video last week we had seen of the guy down in, I think it was Arizona or New Mexico, where he just walked in with a stack of ballots, and they confronted him about it, and he told them what they could go do to themselves, and no shame. That was on camera. They have no shame.
He told them they could go F themselves.
Right.
I mean,
Right? It's just, wow. I mean, they're bold, they're brash, they're bold, and they're bound and determined to win.
Well, so many states think that because they've got these motor voter laws that they are presenting ID, or that makes it ID related. That's all fine and dandy until the state also issues driver's license to illegals.
Right.
And then the motor voter law works for the illegal to vote.
And you notice many of the liberal states have done that too, where they said they were going to issue driver's license to the illegals. Wow.
One of our chatters just said, "I'm traveling state to state, and I want to vote in them all."
You do a little caravan or something like that. Maybe have a convoy or something.
You should come up and see Jose, the senor, and you could make a little 5-state trip.
Well, there was a story here in Detroit. It was a while back, but a lady had died in her vehicle in her garage, and by the time they found her, it was years later, and she was mummified. But they said they went back and looked, and she had actually, even though they had determined she had died prior to the 2000...
6 years!
Yeah,
she had been gone 6 years.
But she had actually cast a vote, even though they knew she had died before that, right in Detroit. I mean, this stuff happens all the time. So once again, the dead can vote, as long as it's for Democrats. Wow.
Unfrickin' believable.
It's sickening is what it is. It is absolutely sickening.
And our voters are saying, and Democrats say, oh, well, there's not a problem. They say that because Democrats like to have that ostrich mentality. If they don't see it and they ignore it, it doesn't exist.
Well, and then if they're called on something, then they just cry racist, and you're trying to disenfranchise me, and you're trying to violate my civil rights, and you're racist, and I mean, come on. And they just cry. They instantly cry that to try to get all the focus off of them. They're very good at doing that. Immediately go to playing the victim. That's what Democrats do. That's what liberals do day in and day out, and not just with voting, with everything. Immediately play the victim. Oh, woe is me, poor me. Everybody's trying to disenfranchise me and take my civil rights away, just like this nurse in the Ebola thing up north there, New Hampshire, I believe it is.
Maine. She's in Maine now. She went bicycle riding today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Unbelievable. But no, guys, we have got to get everybody that we know out to vote. I want to remind you guys that if you're in the Princeton, New Jersey area, please contact the Princeton GOP. There are over how many cars have we got going out there, my friend Bradley? How many drivers do we have at current? I think last I heard we had 65 drivers who were willing to transport people back and forth to the polling locations in order to ensure that they get their opportunity to vote. So that gas, the money for gas was provided, charity was provided by this network. Our network, and yes, it's 65 Princeton University students who are GOP, staunch conservative. They are willing to spend that day, Tuesday. So if you call them, they will gladly come, arrange to pick you up, and get you to a polling location and return you to your home. So please make sure to call the Princeton GOP. Do we have a phone number on that?
Yeah, and in the meantime, while we're waiting for that phone number, folks, it's your civic duty, and you have got to vote on Tuesday. And we've already talked about how a lot of us don't want to vote for the Republicans. We don't agree. We think they're weak. But I'll tell you, folks, look at the Republican versus the Democrat every time in this election and go for the Republican. And when we're done, then the work starts. And then we hold them accountable for what they've told us they will do. And boy, they have told us what they will do, and we will hold them accountable for such afterwards. This awakening that we're all experiencing, this is just the beginning. This is not going to be a short-term thing, and then we can just kind of sit back and rest on our laurels, and everything's going to be great. We'll have showed them, we'll have proved to them. No, this is just the beginning. These commies are like termites. They've dug in deep. They've dug in deep across the board, from our colleges into our governments at the local, state, federal level, everywhere you look. They are dug in like termites or ticks. And that's what they're doing. They're little blood suckers, and I'll tell you what, it's going to take a lot to get them out and to dislodge them, but it is very possible. But everyone's going to have to decide that this is what we want to do, this is what we need to do, and maybe not just for us, for our kids, for our kids' kids, for coming generations. This is very necessary, and we're going to be talking about some more stuff later tonight that ought to get your blood boiling and your blood pressure up. So it is very serious, and this is your chance. We've been talking about it. All my Facebook friends and friends in real life, this is it, folks. This is what we've been talking about since 2010, since 2012. This is our time. In 5 short days, this is our chance to start making something happen.
Well, if you're in the Princeton area, the number for the Princeton GOP is 609-497-0740. Please feel free to contact those young people there. They are doing a tremendous service, so please make sure that you get in contact with them, and they will ensure that you get to and from your polling location. And Senor...
And
we have a... Go ahead.
Real quick. Folks, when you're out there, have a good time doing this. Take some pictures and stuff like that, but also be alert for what could potentially be fraud. Every one of us, I think, I could say that honestly, has some sort of a camera phone on us now or something that'll do recording, do video and stuff like that. If you see anything that looks in any way, shape, or form like it's not right, get that phone out and start recording. Confront people. Don't be afraid of them. I mean, they're doing it right in front of you. So just be alert, but have a good time doing this. Enjoy this. I think that's what it's all about. It should be it's a great time. It's something that a lot of people throughout the world wish they could do, and indeed dream of it. So enjoy it.
Guys, tonight we're going to have a special guest joining us shortly. That would be Dr. Josh Umber. He is with Atlas MD, and I'm going to let him explain to you what that is. But leading into that, Jose, don't we have some information about Obamacare?
We have a lot of information about Obamacare. Well, yeah, and here's the big one right now. New news, just 2 days ago, over 214,000, almost 250,000 doctors are opting out of Obamacare exchanges. This is a big number, folks. It's also about a quarter of the total number of active professional physicians reported in the United States. And 70 in California. Now this should scare California. 70%, and this was back in January. An estimated 70% of California's physicians were not going to participate in California and covered California plans. And they're saying there's many reasons, but one of them is reimbursements are under Obamacare at bottom dollar, even lower than Medicare. And we always know that that's an issue for doctors, because Medicare is so low. But 214,000, and there's going to be real troubles here as this thing gets more and more implemented and more a part of the economy, really, because it is a larger part of the economy, and they've done that. There's a reason they've done that. But 214,000 already say they're not going to participate in it.
I mean, we knew that was coming. We had said at the very beginning of the introduction of Obamacare, when they were just talking about it, we said doctors are going to be fleeing the profession. And everyone said, no, they won't. No, they won't. Remember, you got to read it before you know what's in it. Nobody knew what was in it, so they assured everybody, no problem. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
Well, and folks, don't forget that they haven't even released, and correct me if I'm wrong, V, they have not even released what the deductible, not the deductibles, but what Obamacare basically is going to cost. The premiums are going to be next year. They're not even releasing them until after the election. Now, why do you think that is? What would common sense tell you, folks?
Well, I can tell you that insurance companies are already saying that in fiscal year 2015, they will see a rise of anywhere, depending on your location, which state you're located in, you will see a rise in your private insurance costs at as little as 14%, but many of you will see a rise as much as 78%.
Wow. There's going to be some very angry people.
What do you think? I mean, I know people that are paying $1,000 a month. That means those, if they are in a hard case, We're talking about the difference between $1,000 a month and $1,700 a month.
Wow. Do you think Congress is going to get that sticker shock when they get? Oh wait, they're not part of his care. Oh, or Obama tax. I don't want to say his name. He whose name I shall not say. Something like that. Yeah. Oh, that's right. They're not even part of it. So they're not going to be crying too much when this all comes out.
Well, I'll send flowers if he dies. I'll send black roses.
Half black.
Yeah.
To be appropriate.
There you go. That's what he needs. I just figured it out. The African needs half black.
Oh, that's corny. Oh boy.
I couldn't resist.
Well, there you go. Yeah, but this is seriously, like, this is going to hurt a lot of people. This is going to hurt a lot of people. And some of them are going to be people that voted for him and still continue to support him and stuff. So I guess they'll find out that elections do indeed have consequences.
Well,
that's
unfortunately,
something that liberals don't typically understand. But I think when it hits them like this, slaps them right in the face, maybe they'll start to figure it out. Maybe not. I don't know. I
would like to know when the waivers for the unions end. Don't they end at the end of this year? Don't those waivers end? Oh, I get it. They'll just be reinitiated.
They'll just they will not. Yeah, because the unions are already upset because of the possibility of all the amnesty for illegals. So I don't think, that they're going to want to upset the unions anymore. And of course, we had to bail out GM and that other car manufacturer just to keep the unions happy.
But we didn't have to bail out Ford.
No, we did not. Folks, go to the Ford dealer next time you need a vehicle. There's got some great vehicles out there. Great vehicles out there. Go to Ford. They didn't take the bailout, and they're making good cars. So go check them out.
Well, the thing is the sticker shock with all of this Obamacare. Anybody who is actually having to pay are all of a sudden getting hit with massive sticker shock. And if you think it's bad now, folks, just wait till next year. And that was why when I saw a video of Dr. Josh Umber providing information about the Atlas MD program, I could not get to the phone fast enough or to my computer fast enough to track him down and locate him and call and beg him to join us tonight. And he was so kind in agreeing. And he has some very cost-effective, money-saving ideas. They're going nationwide, and I cannot wait for him to come in and talk to people about that, and about the savings and how the savings is, split, and how this is the best alternative to government-run health care. And make no mistake, folks, all of this Ebola, all of these sick invaders and everything else, I honestly do believe is an attempt to break our medical system, to bankrupt our medical system, so that the government has to step in and provide a single-payer medical system.
Which is what their goal was all the time, going back as far as Hillary when Bill was president back in the late 90s. Was something they talked about. And then, this guy, he's a real doctor. He's a MD. He's out there working. He does but he's a great American in that he sees this huge issue that he probably understands way more than I ever will, because he deals with it every day, both from the providing service thing to dealing with insurance companies and how that all works out. But then he comes up with this great idea to say that also helps save people money, and that's what America's all about, is to
provide quality health care.
Right, but also just to come up with a solution to problems like this that really work, and that he has the freedom to do so. So stay with us, and you'll have to hear what he has to say. He's very knowledgeable. And also, if you'd like to call in when he's done, the number again, 313-462-0068, 313-462-0068, if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to talk about, or if you've got your own issue with Obamacare or your own insurance going up, feel free to call too and let us know, because it's happening all over out there. And if you haven't been hit with it yet, then shortly, probably after the election into the new year, into 2015, you might be getting some sticker shock with things related to your insurance. So.
Well, guys, we're going to take a break, and hopefully when we come back, we'll have Dr. Josh Umber with us.
Stay with us.
Station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Over the next 40 years, the United States population is going to grow by over 90 million people, and almost all that growth is going to be in cities. What's the healthiest and best way for them to grow so that they really become cauldrons of prosperity and cities of opportunity? What we have found is that if that family is moved into safe, green, affordable housing, places that have access to great school systems, access to jobs, and multiple transportation modes, then the neighborhood begins to thrive and really, really take off. The oxygen of community redevelopment is financing. And all this rebuilding that happened could not have happened without organizations like Citi.
One of the things that we really try to do is to collaborate with people like Jonathan Rose, who are really like-minded and really can also provide innovative solutions to social issues.
And Citi has formed a partnership with our company so that we can take all the lessons from the revitalization of urban America to other cities. So we're now working in Chicago and in Washington, D.C., and Newark.
It's branching off of Jonathan's expertise and the fact that he has done so many wonderful affordable housing projects, new development and rehabilitation work. And so we were really seeing that there was a need for his skill in areas even outside of New York.
It's amazing how important safe, affordable housing is to the future of our society.
You meet new people, they want to know what you do. And when you tell them your job is to invest in things like low-income housing and schools and healthcare, they're shocked and they're so surprised that a job like this exists in finance. They always say that they had no idea, and then they want to know how they can get a job like that.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
You think you know the story of Dracula. You have no idea. But I'm going to show you.
My enemies threaten to destroy my kingdom. I want the power to save my family.
Dreams.
Welcome to your life.
My name is Dracula.
There's a room where the light won't find you.
What's happening to you?
I chose this. Because men do not fear swords. They fear monsters.
This is not who you are.
There's always a prize for power.
Everybody wants to rule.
I will not be defeated!
Dracula Untold, in theaters and IMAX October 10th. The Ouija board has existed for centuries. It is used to communicate with the dead.
If there's a presence here, please make yourself known. This is a joke. Oh my God. It's not even real, okay?
It's just a game.
Ouija.
We're saying goodbye!
Rated PG-13.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Tuesday, November 4th is Election Day 2014. Taking our country back can only begin when we turn the Senate red. So get out there and vote for the candidates on your ballot with the R attached to their names. No third-party votes. No write-in votes. This election is too important, and we cannot afford to split our votes. On election night, Tuesday, November 4th, tune in to CPR Worldwide Media.com for full coverage as the results come in. This special report, Election 2014, will begin at 7 p.m. Eastern and will be hosted by Right Side Patriots Craig Andreessen and Diane Sori. It will include an all-star panel. The hosts of WTF, V. Wright and Jose Estevez, the hosts of Right Opinions, and Charles Kaprowitz from the Legislative Roundtable. Let's take our country back.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is WTF, the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Show. I am your host, V. Wright.
Welcome back, folks. I'm Jose Estevez. As we promised before the break, we have a gentleman with us that's going to provide a lot of information tonight that's very timely with this whole Obamacare thing and everything that's happening with insurance and healthcare nowadays. That's a concern to all of us, I'm sure. Tonight we have with us, and I hope I'm saying his last name right, Josh Umber, MD. He's from the great state of Kansas. He's married with 3 children, and he has a new thing. It's called concierge family practice, or it looks like also referred to as direct primary care practice. And we're going to let him explain that. And the name of his business is Atlas MD. And join me in welcoming Josh with us tonight. But also my first question for him, and I'll let him go off and talk, but I think some of the listeners might be interested in the name of your practice, Atlas MD. I think they're going to kind of get what that is all about. So if you could explain that too. Welcome to the program, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you guys very much for having me. It's an honor and pleasure, and look forward to telling you about our model here. Yes, the Atlas Shrugged reference, I think, is clear there for a lot of people. I was going through med school, and was first exposed to the book when I read the excerpt from Francisco's money speech, which was that money is not the root of all evil, and quite literally it's the opposite. It's how honest men trade value for value and really show respect for each other, and gave that moral justification for capitalism, which was something I had always held but never had the words to describe it quite like the book does. And growing up, my dad was a trash man. He's a lawyer now. I still, of course, tell people he's a trash man because it's less embarrassing.
That's great.
And he ran his own business for 20 years, and it just made sense. A good business, a good product, happy people. And then you got into healthcare, and it made no sense. You could see the emperor's new clothes for what they were. Tests that cost $100 to the patient, but only cost $100 or $1 to do. It made no sense in paperwork and red tape and hassles. And in med school, we were literally taught that money is bad, business is bad. It's unbecoming of a physician and unprofessional of us to dirty our hands with business. And I think because of that, we have a broken system, a bad product. I have an amazing computer in my pocket because of good business and good technology. And we really say now that true doctor-patient advocacy is embracing good business for what it can do for our patients, which is create a better product. So that's how I came to settle on the name for the clinic. But you're right, it is Atlas MD Concierge Family Practice. The new buzzword I think that's getting the most attention is direct care, direct primary care. And it's just this idea that insurance complicates more things than it helps, which I think is something we can all agree on. We don't have car insurance for gasoline, oil changes, tires, windshield washer fluid, because those are all things that are affordable on the open market. And we don't even have catastrophic car insurance because it's redundant. Insurance is for catastrophic things. But in healthcare, we try to use it for everything around us, and it doesn't make sense. And trying to fit that square peg into a round hole is a big part of why we have this red tape monster that leads to more difficult care, more problematic care, expensive, bureaucratic issues. So our idea was come out, cut the red tape, let the wheel spin free, and start focusing on our patients. I don't know if Steve Jobs was brilliant to make the iPhone, or if he had just a very clear vision and said, I'm not going to try to make all these competing interests happy and have a convoluted path to a product. I'm going to come out and make the best thing possible for the consumer. And so we felt very early on that if we just put the patients first, the business questions would answer themselves. Medicines are expensive. Great, let's fix that for patients. How can we fix that the best? Wholesale medications is the answer. I can get those for pennies on the dollar, and I can pass those on to the patients. I don't need to make money off them. I want the patients to trust that if I'm prescribing their medicine, it's because I think they need it, not because I'm trying to run up their tab. And we found out we could do the same thing with lab testing. And so it's just the model kept evolving. But first, I might need to step back and just explain what we do. We are a membership-style family medicine clinic, which means we don't take any insurance. We charge a flat rate based on age per month, like a gym membership. So it's $10 for kids and $50 for most adults for unlimited home visits, work visits, office visits, technology visits like email, webcam, cell phone, texting, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, really whatever the patient wants, because we're not limited to what insurance will pay us for now. So then we've eliminated copays for everything in the office because that's what the membership is for. Then any procedure we can do in the office is included free of charge because typically they're just that cheap for us to offer to the patients. EKG pads are 3.5 cents each. They used to be 3.3 cents each, but we upgraded to the gold package because nothing's too good for our patients. And that list of free procedures is EKGs, stitches, biopsies, joint injections, ultrasounds, bone scans, lung scans, Holter monitors, urine testing, pregnancy testing, strep throat testing, cryotherapy, lesion removal, even minor surgical procedures like a toenail removal, because the patient doesn't know if they need that, and we don't want them to feel that we're charging them extra for those services. Then, like I alluded to, the piece that makes it the most unique and successful is that wholesale medication and lab component. So many of our medications are a penny a pill because of how we're able to do this. And Kansas, where we're located, is one of 44 states that allow physicians to do this. So, or with blood work. Most blood tests that we do are $2 or $3. Your cholesterol is $3. A blood count's $2. A thyroid is $2.50. So incredibly affordable, cheaper than your copay. So now you can carve those things out of your insurance, and that's what we do. So we're very successful answering both pieces of the puzzle, health care and health insurance. So we work with a team of specialists, Dave Powell and Joe Martin, on the insurance and financial side. We used to be able to do this for individuals, but now with the Affordable Care Act and the exchanges, we can't do that. But we can still work with employers to decrease their insurance costs by 30 to 60%. We can decrease your employer's premiums so much the employees get a raise. I think that's how we fix the country. That's how we fix the economy. We get people working. We lower the cost of things, not raise it. And in large part, not because we're giving you worse insurance, but we're cutting out the things that don't make sense. You don't need insurance for medicine when it's a penny a pill anymore. And you don't need to pay for copays when there are no copays. And you don't go sit in the ER when you have your doctor's cell phone. I worked in the ER for 5 years. There's not much I can't sew up for you in my office or at your kitchen table. And it only costs me a few dollars, but the ER is going to bill you $1,500. So if I can save you that, I've proven the value of your membership for your family for the year. The average family of four is going to pay $14.40 a year for unlimited 24/7 access to their doc. So if I can save you $50, $60, $70 a month in meds and labs and copays, great. But if I can save you $300, $400, $500 a month in insurance premiums and get you a better result, even better. And we didn't know if we'd be able to do that in the beginning, so we came out, we worked hard at it, and we proved that we could. And it's really just taken off since. We've helped consult some 40 doctors this year already, with several more coming on board each month. We speak around the country nationally about this model to legislators, to patients, to physicians groups, students, residents, and just because we're so passionate about getting patients this information. Because once they know that there's a better way, they're able to go back to their doctor and say, boy, I would really support you in doing this. I know it's hard for a doctor to change, but now that you can keep doing an insurance system that's broken and not helping your patients, or you can convert to a system that's working really well for patients of all income levels. There's some medications, one Imitrex for migraine, can be anywhere from $100 to $256 at the pharmacy. I get it for $6. My patients get it for $6. So for a low SES patient, that's the difference between employment or not employment if you can control their migraines. But you give them another $100 back a month, that's college tuition if they save it up over the course of the year or several years. It's days of their labor back to them to spend on whatever their family needs, and they get good health care. We had a woman, mid-30s, uninsured, spending $140 a month on medication for her heartburn. I get for $1.55 a month.
Oh my goodness!
It's crazy. She signed up her whole family for $120 plus the $1.50 in her medicine, plus the $18 in her pocket. She's still uninsured, but now she has a doctor, the cell phone, the text message, the email. She doesn't have to leave work when she has a question. She doesn't have to wait in a waiting room or pay a copay or worry about stitches, because she knows even if something bad happens on the weekend, her doctor's going to respond. And she gets her medicine, and she has more money in her pocket. So even though, yes, insurance would still be nice, if she can't afford it, she can at least afford all of this. And so it's doctors continually embracing how good business means good patient care. Imaging for MRIs and CAT scans and ultrasounds, we get an 80% cash discount. You don't even need your insurance for some of these things now because they're made so cheap. And we're not the only ones. Surgery Center of Oklahoma is doing an amazing job with the same sort of model, but as a surgery center. Cash surgeries that are 75% cheaper than if you were to go to your standard facility. I mean, you can get a surgery on your knee that would cost $10,000 somewhere else for $2,000 there, even if insurance or no insurance. So it's just really exciting to see that around the country, doctors are starting to say that there's a better way, and we're going to start advocating for our patients and proving that this method works. But even more exciting than that is the rest of the system is responding well. Because it's best for patients, then it becomes really good for physicians, which means it's really good for employers. And even though most people think insurance would hate this model, they're catching on, and they're seeing that we decrease their risk, their exposure, their payouts. So in turn, they're decreasing their premiums. So the employers that work with us, we just had a renewal for a company. They've been with us the longest, a Guarding Center, just decreased their premiums by 30%.
Decreased by 30%.
Decreased by 30%.
Decreased
so every other employer, yep.
Well, I have a question for you, Dr. Josh. You said that if somebody needed a surgery or something like that, you decrease the cost from $10,000, say, to $2,000 in the example. Now, you don't accept your group does. Atlas MD does not accept insurance. Now, are these at locations that do accept insurance, and how does that work? Can they utilize the insurance on the discount that you guys have negotiated?
It depends on where they go. In that example, the Surgery Center of Oklahoma does not take any insurance either. And so it's a cash up front model, or you can do a financing plan. And they get it cheaper than other places. But our patients, if they want to stay local, they can use the insurance for what it covers. So if they have a more expensive surgery, well, they're still going to negotiate for whatever discounts we can so that their copay is less. And maybe keep it below the insurance part. We had a woman, she needed a simple surgery on her foot. The surgeon's bill was going to be $700. And he said, you can go to any surgery center in town. The first one she picked was going to charge her $5,000 for the cost. We called around, we helped negotiate, we got it down to $1,500. So she would have been using her insurance, but we were able to find $3,000 savings. And that comes out of her health savings account. So it's her money. We saved it. So not only do we save the surgery or the insurance company from having to pay out unnecessarily, but she got to keep her own money, which is great too. So as we decrease those costs to the insurance company, they decrease the premiums as well. So it really is the whole system looking. If we all agree that health reform isn't helping, it's not decreasing the cost of care substantially, then it seems that patients, physicians, employers, and insurance companies are willing to be flexible and innovative.
Well, we were just discussing before we brought you in and before we took our break that the rising cost, the anticipated fiscal year 2015 cost is from state to state is expected for health insurance premiums to rise anywhere between 14 and 78% next year. And that is a tremendous hit. I have a family member who pays almost $1,000 a month for insurance. If we were in a state that was getting hit with the high end, that would rise from $1,000 a month to over $1,700 a month for insurance.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people who are paying more in their insurance premium than they're paying on their mortgage. It's an unsustainable business model. They can't afford that anymore.
Well, in this particular case, in addition to that, to go to the doctor's office, they have a deductible to meet. Then they have a copay. Then it does not cover all their prescriptions. So then whatever prescriptions they have, which can be as much as $200 or $300 a month. At the pharmacy, and we're talking about for a single individual, we've already accounted for over $2,000 a month.
Yeah, and again, like you said, not getting the value out of it, or not getting any coverage. It's becoming more and more catastrophic, but not going down in price. And it makes perfect sense. If insurance was paying for gasoline, they tell you what gas stations you can go to, how many gallons you can get. If you go out of town, you're going to have to be pre-approved for a trip. We would laugh at that concept of buying health and per car insurance that way, because we can easily see that for the silliness that it is. But that's exactly how we're purchasing our health care. We're requiring insurance for things that don't need insurance anymore. So as we communicate that message and get it, patients and employers and physicians across the country seeing that, okay, meds can be cheaper, labs can be cheaper. I don't need 7 employees per physician. I have 1.5 employees for a 3-doctor practice. So just that savings alone means that savings is passed to the patient, which is passed to the employer and goes on to the insurance company. So it really is about designing a sustainable business model top down.
Dr. Josh, I've got a question for you. I want to jump in real quick. First of all, I'm kind of stuck on the whole idea of home visits. I mean, I thought that was gone years and years ago, and you're still talking about home visits. But even more importantly, you're talking about the electronic access, which is probably just as good for many people, nowadays, and is easy for many people to be able to talk to you, Skype, or that sort of thing. But how many patients can you effectively serve with this model? Just talking about your practice, and then how long have you been doing this so far?
Great questions. So I agree. The home visits is a wonderful piece. I would say it's not used often because people are busy and moving the kids and sports and what have you. But when they have a migraine and can't leave the house, or the stomach bug, you can't get off the toilet, or just feel too bad to leave, it's really convenient. Or stitches.
Or they have 4 children at home and they don't want to drag them all out.
Right.
Absolutely. I have a great scenario where I can think of a perfect family like that, and they've got 4 boys, and I'm one of 4 boys, so I completely understand the stress that mom goes through. And we're talking on the phone, and she, you can hear her put the phone down and yell, "Stop fighting him!" Yep, that's the life of a mom with 4 boys. And so it's convenient care. We can talk about these things, and it's just so much of a hassle in the current system. It's not built on customer service. And the option to call, text, email, Facebook, Skype means a mom or a dad who doesn't want to leave work, who doesn't want to take vacation days, who doesn't want to lose pay to drive across town, wait in the doctor's room, pay a copay, get another bill later, only to find out might be a virus. No, or just to spend 7 minutes with your doctor. I had a lot of questions and you didn't answer them all. Nope, sorry, you'll have to schedule another appointment. Or I've got all 4 kids here, but I only scheduled 1 appointment. Can you look in all their ears? Because, or look in all their throats because maybe they all have strep throat. Nope, sorry, you have to pay a copay for each one. That's ridiculous. So that technology aspect, just like we use it everywhere else in our lives, it means better communication with our friends, our family, our customers. We should be doing that with patients. I love to say that if you give a surgeon a better scalpel, you make him a better technician. But if you give a family doctor a better way to communicate, you get a better experience. That's what we do. We're communicators. So it may be a little bit unique to start a conversation on Twitter, direct message, but at least the conversation got started. And I can't help anybody if they don't talk to me. So, maybe that rolls into an office visit or a phone call or an email, but at least we're moving forward. So that does end up being incredibly valuable to the patients. But we've been doing this for over 4 years now. When I started, I was fresh out of residency, no patients, and a dream to not go bankrupt. So far, so good. And now we have 3 physicians and almost 1,800 patients, and we're almost full. So our goal for our clinic is 600 patients per doctor. The average doctor has 3,000 or 4,000, which is why they're seeing 40 or 50 people a day and can't get you in and have short visits and have lots of staff. On average, we see 5 people a day in the office. But I answered the simple questions by email, phone call, and text. So the people who are in the office can have an hour, and they can be seen within a few minutes if that's what they need. And if we need to call a specialist and get an opinion and go through some stuff or do some education, it all happens right there. We spent 2 hours with new patients who are complicated and needed a lot of things done. And not that we're different than other doctors. Other doctors would love to do that. But they're practicing in a broken system that doesn't let them. So we have the luxury of time, and that, I think, ultimately ends up being cheaper, too, because we can get to the heart of problems by listening to our patients. And so the inevitable question we get is, if each doctor is going from 3,000 patients to 600, won't this worsen the physician shortage? I mean, that seems like the logical answer. And we actually say no. I compare it to the I Love Lucy scene where she's at the conveyor belt. She's wrapping chocolates, and just because you move the conveyor belt quicker doesn't mean you get a better result. In fact, you get a worse result. So we're seeing a lot of people, but we're very inefficient in the care we're providing, which is expensive. But also, we're burning doctors out. And if we're burning doctors out, retiring them early, scaring them away from primary care, we're not going to have anybody to take care of patients.
You're absolutely correct. Dr. Josh, we have to take a break real quick. I'm going to ask you to please stick around. I have some questions for you. I know you have some more things to say, and I am sure Jose has some. And I want to let our callers know, if you have a question for Dr. Josh, please call us. Come to CPR Media Network group. Our fan thread is up. You can post your question there. You can go to CPRWorldwideMedia.com, put your question in the chat, or you can go to www.thethRadioshow.com and post your question in the chat location there, and we will surely ask for you. And we'll be back in just a few moments, guys.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Over the next 40 years, the United States population is going to grow by over 90 million people, and almost all that growth is going to be in cities. What's the healthiest and best way for them to grow so that they really become cauldrons of prosperity and cities of opportunity? What we have found is that if that family is moved into safe, green, affordable housing, places that have access to great school systems, access to jobs, and multiple transportation modes, then the neighborhood begins to thrive and really take off. The oxygen of community redevelopment is financing. And all this rebuilding that happened could not have happened without organizations like Citi.
One of the things that we really try to do is to collaborate with people like Jonathan Rose, who are really like-minded and really can also provide innovative solutions to social issues.
And Citi has formed a partnership with our company so that we can take all the lessons from the revitalization of urban America to other cities. So we're now working in Chicago and in Washington, D.C., and Newark.
It's branching off of Jonathan's expertise and the fact that he has done so many wonderful affordable housing projects, new development and rehabilitation work. And so we were really seeing that there was a need for his skill in areas even outside of New York.
It's amazing how important safe, affordable housing is to the future of our society.
You meet new people, they want to know what you do, and when you tell them your job is to invest in things like low-income housing and schools and healthcare, they're shocked and they're so surprised that a job like this exists in finance. They always say that they had no idea, and then they want to know how they can get a job like that.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
You think you know the story of Dracula? You have no idea. But I'm going to show you.
My enemies threaten to destroy my kingdom. I want the power to save my family.
Drink.
Welcome to your life.
My name is Dracula.
There's a room where the light won't find you.
What's happening to you?
I chose this. Because men do not fear swords. They fear monsters.
This is not who you are.
There's always a prize for power.
Everybody wants to rule.
I will not be defeated!
Dracula Untold, in theaters and IMAX October 10th. The Ouija board has existed for centuries. It is used to communicate with the dead.
If there's a presence here, please make yourself known. This is a joke. Oh my God. It's not even real, okay?
It's just a game. Ouija.
We're saying goodbye.
Rated PG-13.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Tuesday, November 4th is Election Day 2014. Taking our country back can only begin when we turn the Senate red. So get out there and vote for the candidates on your ballot with the R attached to their names. No third-party votes. No write-in votes. This election is too important, and we cannot afford to split our votes. On election night, Tuesday, November 4th, tune in to CPR Worldwide Media.com for full coverage as the results come in. This special report, Election 2014, will begin at 7 p.m. Eastern and will be hosted by Right Side Patriots Craig Andreessen and Diane Sori. It will include an all-star panel. The hosts of WTF, V. Wright and Jose Estevez, the hosts of Right Opinions, and Charles Kaprowitz from the Legislative Roundtable. Let's take our country back.
Welcome back, everybody. This is WTF, and I am your host, V. Wright.
And I'm Jose Estevez.
And we have a wonderful guest with us this evening. This is Dr. Josh Umber from Atlas MD, and he is providing us invaluable information and letting us know about the services that Atlas MD provide for the public at large. It obviously saves a great deal of money, and it sounds like the best in healthcare that I've heard from a primary care physician in probably my entire life. But I have a couple of questions for you, Dr. Josh. How receptive are you finding doctors and hospitals to your program?
Actually, surprisingly, very responsive to it. You can throw a dart at a map and find a doctor who's burnt out and unhappy. And not because unhappy with their patients, unhappy with the system that won't let them care for their patients. And so they're too busy doing paperwork, and none of us went to med school to do paperwork. We went to care for people. And so when they see this model, at first they'd worry because that it's a business that focuses more on money than it does the patients. And when they see that that's not the case, that we're successful because we focus on patients first, they really start to warm up. But it's that value. When you tell them unlimited visits, no copays, free procedures, and meds and labs for pennies on the dollar, and you never have to bill insurance again, no coding or all this. 95% of my time is with patients, is dealing directly with them. Only a small fraction is doing paperwork or calling and setting things up. So it puts them back in the driver's seat. So if they hear that they can be professionally satisfied while taking really great care of people, they respond amazingly well.
That is phenomenal. How would our listeners go about? Wait a minute, Jose, you're covering that question. I'm not going to ask that question. Now, hospitalization insurance is still required in case of an emergency or a hospital, unanticipated hospital stay. Am I correct there?
Correct.
Or suggested?
We do as much as we can to decrease ER visits, urgent care visits, specialty referrals, hospitalizations. There's good data show 40% of specialty referrals are unnecessary, but are the result of a doctor who is too busy, and they're kind of just pushing things down the line. So by us being so available, we decrease that need and thus the cost. But also, car wrecks, cancers, heart attacks, life happens. my first daughter was born with Down syndrome unexpectedly. So we had huge hospital bills, but we had the insurance, thankfully, to cover those. And so the two-prong is, one, having insurance or not having insurance shouldn't be what keeps you from getting primary care, which is 80% of what most people need in a given year. So they're already managing their diabetes and blood pressure and all this regardless of their insurance status. But yes, it is definitely a good idea to have something in place. I have life insurance because, heaven forbid, I want my wife and a cabana boy to be very happy someday.
I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
and we need health insurance too for the things that come up unexpectedly in life.
We're so glad that you're concerned about your wife's happiness when you're gone.
And the cabana boy, right? Yeah.
There you go.
So if we want people to have more insurance, we have to make it more affordable, and and so that's the goal. Decrease what all insurance covers means more affordable insurance overall. So if we decrease the cost of insurance by 60%, like we do for employers, that means that many more people have jobs. Those jobs cover the insurance, or they're able to have the dollars from and go buy on the open market themselves. So yes, we still encourage insurance for what it's good for.
Okay, and Jose, I know you have a question based on a listener.
Yeah, one of the listeners is asking, what can we do locally in our area to try to get doctors on board? The listener even goes on to say, I am willing to visit all the local doctors and talk with them to get them on board. How do we sell this to them?
As a patient, I think the best thing you can do is go tell the doctor that you support the idea. Doctors are risk adverse. They're nervous. They've got a lot on the line. But at the same time, it's a sinking ship. Dr. John in Erie, Pennsylvania, fantastic turnaround story. In essence, because he said, boy, this system will bankrupt us within a year. I feel like I'm failing as a physician. It's not going good. And within 3 months, he was able to convert his practice. He saw an overwhelmingly positive response from his patients that fed the conviction that he was doing the right thing. A year later, they're doing great. They're sustainable. They're happy. Their patients are getting good care. So it's a grassroots movement. And when patients are demanding this, and the physicians can now see that it's not a fringe. This is going to become the mainstay of primary care because it makes more sense. They really start to respond. But also they can send them to us, atlas.md on Facebook, Twitter, the internet, its website is atlas.md. We do all the consulting for free. We have this down to a turnkey conversion for the doctors. We are passionate about helping them learn about this. We have a blog and a podcast and all kinds of things for free tools to help the doctors change. But we also have a website, iwantdirectcare.com, where patients and doctors can quite literally put a pin on the map and say that they want this. But we're about to release a website, iamdirectcare.com. You can go to facebook.com, iamdirectcare, for people to tell their story. I am direct care because I'm a single mom and I need affordable medication. I am direct care because I'm a physician who wants to focus on patients and not paperwork. And we're just going to really sort of prove that viral grassroots enthusiasm for a better way of practicing medicine.
So again, in case you guys missed it, that is I Want, WANT, Direct, DIRECT, Care, CARE.com. If you are a physician that you know are interested in the Atlas MD program, it also allows you to pinpoint on the map locations around you with medical providers. So that is a very excellent place to start. You can also go to atlas.md to find out more about the Atlas MD program. Because I was going to ask you that question, Dr. Josh. Can you let our listeners know where they go for information? And so that's excellent. And Dr. Josh is making it very clear that if you want your doctor to have a relationship very similar to the ones that Dr. Umber has described here, then point your doctor in that direction. And my understanding is you are nationwide currently.
We have doctors in every state, yeah. Not as our brand, as a franchise, but just as direct care physicians. We're starting specialties as well. There's dermatology and endocrinology, again, the cash surgery centers. So we're helping physical therapists, chiropractors, psychiatrists. There's a tweak to the model for every specialty that matches how the patients need their care. And again, as patients demand a better way, when they hear, well, I didn't know I needed an iPhone until I saw it. I said, boy, if I could answer emails and phone calls and text messages on the go, then I can help more patients. And as patients say, hey, if I don't have to leave work to get my medication from the pharmacy and then my doctor can get it to me cheaper, I mean, I'm more efficient in my own life. It's a better value. That, I think, will always rise to the top.
Well, I cannot see the downfall in this. A lot of our listeners are youthful listeners. A large part of our demographics are 18 to 35, and I know that demographic does not necessarily always think that they need health insurance or that they need medical coverage because they're invincible and life is what it is, and you can't always stop what you're doing to go see a doctor. You have children, you have a job, and you've got a rent payment or a mortgage payment. So it's, I'm not drop dead, so I'm going to go to work. So this would be a good idea for you guys, not only to take that into account, but you're going to be required by this government to carry some kind of medical coverage anyway.
The really ironic part is you're required to cover it, but you may not be able to find a doctor who takes it. So even though you're going to be paying for it, you're still not going to be able to use it.
Let me ask you that. How do you, as a physician and your partners, deal with such government intrusion between you and your patients?
Well, the really nice part is me and the other doctors in our practice don't have to worry about it. We don't have any intrusion. We've shrugged all that off. So any patient, regardless of income status, can come in and get our full breadth of services without any involvement or red tape or bureaucracy affecting that. It's the other doctors who are still in an insurance-based practice dealing with it constantly. Everything they do is dictated by the structure of the insurance company. And if Medicaid is a great example, Medicaid pays so poorly that most doctors don't take it. Medicare, only 43% of doctors are taking new Medicare patients.
I have a question for you, because our listeners hear this, and I was astounded at some of the numbers that I heard recently. We sit here and we say, oh, well, Medicaid, Medicare does not pay our doctors very much. And somehow or another, the general population out there believes, oh, well, instead of getting $1,000 or instead of getting $200 for this visit, they're getting $150 for this visit. And I was astounded to find out that if you go to a doctor on Medicaid or Medicare, how very little is actually given to a doctor's office for that. Do you have any experience with that, or is there any information that you as a professional, because I don't work in the medical field, so I'm just repeating information, but is there any experience that you have knowledge of that would give our listeners an idea of just how little these programs pay, and this is what our government expects our doctors to do for us? Exactly.
Oh, very good point. So we'll talk in some generalities because the numbers will vary depending on where you are in the country. But let's say you go in the doctor and the bill is $120. Now, no one pays $120 unless you're uninsured. And then if you're insured, let's say the reimbursement's $80. But the doctor's overhead is often 75%. So the doctor's only making 75% of the 80 paid by insurance. And so most doctors have to see 5 patients an hour and are only profitable when they see the 5th patient. So that's how bad the numbers are. That's why they're seeing 40 people a day. That's why you only get 6 minutes with your doctor. That's why they won't take your phone calls, because they don't get paid to talk on the phone. That's why they won't let you email them. And so another good example, this is from a Wall Street Journal article, March 16th, 2012. Outlines the cost of running a 3-doctor practice in Denver. 3 physicians, 22 employees, $1.8 million in cost just for the employees. They made $2.2 million and had $29,000 in profit. Pretty small margins overall. But actually, if you look into it, they've got $40,000 from an insurance company grant. So technically, they would have lost money on those numbers and not been able to pay their physicians their full salary. So,
this is the 1% that the Occupy movement is talking about. Dr. Umber and these doctors are the 1% that make all of this money because they have an inflated view and no understanding of the business aspect and what it takes to employ people, because the government does not make jobs. Private companies make jobs. So I'm different than Hillary.
Yeah.
No, Hillary Clinton said just the opposite. Contrary to Hillary Clinton, let's make this clear. And this is why I continue to tell people, I don't want to hear about the where it's not fair that someone that went to college and risked everything to open a business should make money when somebody who did not even complete their high school diploma should make $15 an hour. The reason it's not fair, there isn't a reason it's not fair. The difference is these people have gone out and they've risked everything. And on those years that they take home not a penny, you still get your $15 an hour for flipping a burger.
I talked to a doctor who hasn't taken a paycheck from his office in 5 years. Now, how long do you think he's going to keep doing that? So how are we going to make the physician shortage better if that's the life that doctors are being exposed to? Now, I'm not saying woe is us, but I am saying it's a broken system. If we as patients, we as doctors, need to find a way that's sustainable, and that's what direct primary care is. And so you're right. And back to the point about the taxes and the government. I pay $2,000 a week in taxes. I could hire 2 full-time people at a darn fine salary of $50,000 a year if my business wasn't paying $2,000 a week in taxes. My malpractice costs $15,000. My CME, my licensing from the state, from the federal government, everything else, roll that up into another $5,000. So and then if you look at some of the other professional costs that we have, it can easily be $25,000 just for me to go to work every year. Yeah, there is a cost to that. And I'm not complaining about that because I've got a great job and I had great patients, but it's an overhead that has to be paid for. And so if malpractice doesn't come cheap, and so we have to find a way that I can pay for those professional fees so that I can keep going to work so I can keep taking care of patients.
Exactly. And the other thing we have to do is we've got to get on those in Washington, D.C. if there's any way possible. And instead of all of this other garbage that they're doing, let's try some tort reform. That might help immensely. Drop those malpractice rates. And the other question I have for you, Dr. Josh, is what do you see happening to our medical field as we have this influx of what I refer to as illegal invaders from our southern border and Ebola patients from the hot zone of Africa?
I think it'll be really interesting if it goes bad. Lloyd's of London is offering or selling Ebola insurance to hospitals because of profit loss potential. Insurance companies are excluding Ebola from their payment plans. Acts of God, Ebola, that's not a covered benefit. It's too expensive. They're not going to insure that. So the tax that could have on the system is immense. And one of the rural Kansas, one of my friends works at ER in rural Kansas, where they have a lot of immigration for the meatpacking plants, both from Africa, Vietnam, and South America. There's a lot of unvaccinated people coming in, and so they see a lot of vaccine-preventable diseases at a greater cost to the system. So there's a cost there for sure, especially when, on some level, you could argue it wouldn't be a problem if they were paying for the services they use. But anytime you have an influx of people using a service but not paying for it, it's going to make everything expensive. It would make restaurants more expensive if only 10% of the people pay for their meal in the restaurant. It's a surprisingly low number of people who pay for their ER visits. Some reports as low as 10% of people pay their ER bill. Well, yeah, if 10% of people pay for their burger at the restaurant, then burgers are going to get a lot more expensive.
Absolutely. Well, I made a statement going into this segment, but prior to you joining us this evening, and you tell me whether or not it has any validity or not. But I feel like the government is allowing this influx of disease and exposure with the intent of breaking the healthcare system to carry us to a single-payer system.
I can understand that fear. It doesn't feel like the government's trying to fix things. I think that's a very honest sentiment from a lot of people. There's no one that feels like this is working, yet we keep plunging forward, blindly hoping that, well, at some point it'll get better. Because of course we can't read it until we pass it. We can't find out what's in it until we pass it.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's a train wreck and a hot potato. Election cycle's up, or someone, if I'm out of office, I don't care what happens anymore in the next 4 years. So I think each legislator is hoping that they'll be able to pass that buck on just a little bit further, which means constant manipulation of the Affordable Care Act, which means confusion and unpredictability for businesses, which is expensive and problematic. So we're going to end up hurting our economy by not fixing this. And we're too afraid to go back to what we had before, and we can't advance further. So inaction is going to be incredibly expensive and problematic.
Dr. Josh, I have a quick question for you from a listener. They said the listener's saying, ask him about the risks of telemedicine and the possibility of secure information being compromised, which might run the risk of HIPAA violation.
Sure. Very good question. So HIPAA is a barrier, not a benefit. HIPAA is a 1996 law written when I was 15. The Spice Girls were topping the charts. The Dow had hit 6,000, and Internet Explorer 3 was released. I think it's safe to say it's an antiquated law. And so it's getting in the way of patient care. It's a barrier, not a benefit. So we use technology to make it a benefit. Banking, I think, is the best example. When I started med school in 2003, I had to deliver a paper form to the bank, and they would mail me my paper password 2 weeks later to ensure security. Now I can do all that online instantly, and I have Apple Pay on my phone now because they said yes, the security has to be there, but it can't stop the customer from experiencing the product. It has to support, not inhibit that. And that's what we're doing in healthcare. We're maximizing technology so that everything is as secure as possible, and honestly, more secure than HIPAA requires, because in HIPAA, everybody has access to your chart. Anybody who's a HIPAA provider, Medicare, third parties, they can buy that data, they can scrub that data, they can review that, all kinds of things. So versus our system where only us and the patient can see it, not your insurance, not the government. So I think we actually go far beyond the HIPAA requirements for security. It's like most things government. It's minimum code. So
wow.
I think, it's just there needs to be a technology revolution. Apple's proving that with their healthcare data. Google and Microsoft are doing similar things, but saying in this age of sharing social media and Facebook and Twitter, Foursquare, people have a desire to see data be freely exchanged. They're less concerned that someone might find out they have GERD, heartburn, other things, and more want to use that. They want to download it to their phone. They want to track it themselves. They want to share it with their doctor. So data's always wanted to be free, and that free exchange means things are cheaper, faster, better. So I'm actually really excited to see where healthcare technology will take us in the next few years.
Well, Dr. Josh, I'm going to ask you, would you be willing to continue to stick around in case we get any callers in or we have any chat questions before we go to the break?
Absolutely.
Okay, we would love for you to stick around with us. Guys, we'll be back in just a moment.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
How are things with the new guy? All we do is go out to dinner. That's it? I mean, he picks up the tab every time, which is great. Why? He's using you. He probably has a city thank you card and he gets 2 times the points at restaurants. So he's just racking up points with me. Some people. Ugh. No, I got it.
The City Thank You Preferred Card. Now earn 2 times the points on dining out and entertainment with no annual fee. To apply, go to city.com/thankyoucards.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
You think you know the story of Dracula? You have no idea. But I'm going to show you.
My enemies threaten to destroy my kingdom. I want the power to save my family.
Dreams.
Welcome to your life.
My name is Dracula.
What's happening to you?
I chose this. Because men do not fear swords. They fear monsters.
This is not who you are.
There's always a prize for power.
Everybody wants to rule.
I will not be defeated!
Dracula Untold, in theaters and IMAX October 10th. The Ouija board has existed for centuries. It is used to communicate with the dead.
If there's a presence here, please make yourself known. This is a joke. Oh my god. It's not even real, okay?
It's just a game.
Ouija.
We're saying goodbye!
Rated PG-13.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Tuesday, November 4th is Election Day 2014. Taking our country back can only begin when we turn the Senate red. So get out there and vote for the candidates on your ballot with the R attached to their names. No third-party votes. No write-in votes. This election is too important and we cannot afford to split our votes. On election night, Tuesday, November 4th, tune in to CPRWorldwideMedia.com for full coverage as the results come in. This special report, Election 2014, will begin at 7 p.m. Eastern and will be hosted by Right Side Patriots Craig Andreessen and Diane Sori. It will include an all-star panel, the hosts of WTF, V. Wright and Jose Estevez, the hosts of Right Opinions, and Charles Kaprowitz from the Legislative Roundtable. Let's take our country back.
Guys, welcome back to WTF. I'm your host, V. Wright.
And I'm Jose Estevez.
And although we're going to move along on some other topics, we do have Dr. Josh Umber on the line. He is with Atlas MD. If you have a question and you would like to call in and ask a question, please do so at 313-462-0068 or join us on our chat at CPR Media Network Group. We have a thread going, and that is on Facebook. You also can join our chat at www.THEWTFRADIOSHOW. That is www.thewtfradioshow.com. And we welcome your comments. We would love to hear your questions. If you're not comfortable with calling in, please post them and we will ask for you. And Senor.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that the Fatah is calling for a day of rage tomorrow?
I heard about that.
Yeah, Muhammad Abbas Fatah organization has declared tomorrow, Friday, a day of rage and called on the Palestinian fighters to defend Al-Aqsa. Palestinian writers and terrorists have been active in recent weeks in Jerusalem area, killing 2, injuring many others, and causing millions of dollars in damage. Now, the following is the announcement by Fatah that was reported by the official Palestinian agency News. And it says, Fatah calls to its fighters and to the masses of Palestinian people to aid the Al-Aqsa Mosque and occupied Jerusalem. Now, in an announcement that was published by the Fatah Mobilization and Organization Commission today, the movement called to set tomorrow as a day of rage throughout the homeland and in countries which are home to refugees. Now, guys, the reason that I brought this forward was because of that last statement. If you recall in yesterday's show, Jose and I were discussing the State Department's refugee plan. And, Jose, you want to remind them about that from yesterday?
What about how many people they're going to be bringing in here?
And the money we've spent? Cost? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, we talked about it. It's just absolutely ridiculous, but it's like everything else they're doing. It's trying to overwhelm the system, and it's part of the hope and change and the fundamental transformation of this country.
Absolutely. But the fact of the matter is that they're calling for this, and remember that we have these pro-Palestinian groups working with the Occupy movement to cause conflict in Ferguson, Missouri. In addition to that, they have branched out. We've seen episodes in Atlanta, Georgia. We've seen episodes in Phoenix, Arizona. We are anticipating episodes in Dayton, Ohio, and they have promised to branch out to 85 cities across the nation. So you guys need to be prepared for this, because if they followed along this movement, then we could have problems tomorrow, given all that has occurred of late. We want to remind everyone that we encourage you utilize your Second Amendment right.
Exercise it at all times. You're responsible for your own safety. Don't ever forget.
Jose, you have something particularly important to discuss
I wanted to
tonight.
talk about this. I want everybody to see. There's a release from the USCIS Council President, and what the USCIS is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service. This is 12,000 people that work for the USCIS here in the United States. And what they're doing basically is the borders, screening people. And this is directly from their president, and it says for immediate release. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I was going to, but there's too much. I'm going to go right to the heart of the matter. Now, remember, this is from the president of that group, representing that group of 12,000 people dealing with citizenship and immigration. So I think we should pay attention.
Border Patrol agents. That's who we're talking about. They 12,000 Border Patrol agents.
Right. I'm going to go right to the point where he says, we are still the world's rubber stamp for entry into the United States, regardless of the ramifications of the constant violations to the Immigration and Nationality Act. Whether it's the failure to uphold the public charge laws, the abuse of our asylum procedures, the admission of Islamist radicals, or visas for health risks, the taxpayers are being fleeced and public safety is being endangered on a daily basis. I write today to warn the general public that this situation is about to get exponentially worse and more dangerous. America dodged a bullet when the Senate immigration package S-744 was blocked by the House. That legislation would have been a financial and security catastrophe. But news reports have leaked information to the public of a USCIS management contract bid for a surge printing of 34 million green cards and employment authorization documents to be provided to foreign nationals, a bid that predicts the administration's promised executive amnesty. This massive unilateral amnesty is slated to be issued after the November 2014 elections. Efforts by members of the Senate to block this action were stopped in their tracks by 52 senators who, on July 31st, defeated a legislative maneuver to prohibit the president's actions. That is why this statement is intended for the public. If you care about your immigration security and your neighborhood security, you must act now to ensure that Congress stops this unilateral amnesty. Let your voice be heard and spread the word to your neighbors. We who serve in our nation's immigration agencies are pleading for your help. Don't let this happen. Express your concern to your senators and congressmen before it's too late. Folks, that's right from the president of this group representing 12,000 United States Citizenship and Immigration Service adjudicators and personnel. I don't think it gets any more serious than that. We've been talking about these things, the 34 million cards. Remember that the number 34 million represents a full 1/10 of the United States population the way it stands today. And I think if you look at Drudge, which is where we draw a lot of our information from, as well as many other talk show people do as well, I believe the number one story, at least it was a couple hours ago, is that Obama is getting ready to do amnesty, and I'm sure it will happen as soon as the election is over, probably not 1 minute before, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was within 24 to 48 hours afterwards. Folks, in 5 days you can go vote, but in the meantime you can contact your Congress critters and let them know that we will not stand for this. This would be a fundamental transformation of the United States in ways that we cannot imagine. We already have talked a lot about the steady stream of the crimigrants coming across the border, unopposed basically, into the United States. And he's talking about as many as 34 million being granted blanket amnesty. And that means, you know what it means, folks. I don't care what they tell you. You know they're going to vote. You know they're going to get benefits, including food stamps and every imaginable health care. We've just been talking about health care almost the whole evening. It's going to overwhelm the system, and indeed, that's what they intend to do. So there you have it.
Well, we know it would not surprise me at all if Commander Califf took his mighty pen and wielded it at 12:01 midnight Wednesday morning.
Especially if it looks like they're getting, they got stomped. Somebody with the level of narcissism he has, I could see it happening too. As soon as all the tallies are in and it looks like they're losing big, then he'll say, here's what I'm going to... I wouldn't be surprised a bit, V. Not a bit.
It would not surprise me. He's had plenty of time to prepare for this. It does not matter if it's constitutionally legal or not. He has proven that time and time again. How it is that he has remained uncuffed is absolutely beyond me. The damage to our system with that many individuals on it. Let's face it, we are already facing an education system that is severely overwhelmed by the influx of illegals. We have a healthcare system that is severely overwhelmed by the influx of illegals. We have a welfare system that is severely overwhelmed by the influx of illegals. We have a housing system that is severely overwhelmed by the influx of illegals, and not this is, for the most part, they are not able to contribute. Now, the government will sell that, oh, well, they're working and they're paying taxes and everything else. Well, if they are, please tell me why I have to press 2 for Spanish.
Or when I go to the ATM, like the other day, and I took a picture of it, press 2 before I can do anything. When my card goes in, before I can do anything, I either had to press 1 button for English or 2 to proceed in Spanish before I could do anything else. Could not bypass it.
Well, and we also want to ask, if that's the case, then why is the state of California bankrupt? Financially, right. California is bankrupt.
At some point, we will all be paying for California. There's no doubt about it. They cannot keep going the way they are.
At some point, we will all be bankrupt.
Right. Well, and let's not forget that one of the biggest organizations that support this regime, and indeed have one of their ex-leaders is a member of the regime, I forget at what level, is La Raza, which is an overtly racist organization that talks about repatriation of a great part of the American Southwest back to Mexico because it was taken from them unfairly. And believe me, folks, these people aren't coming here to assimilate. They are not coming here to assimilate. They want nothing to do with that. They are coming here to change everything the way they have it. And there's no, they don't try to hide it. Look at all the things that they do. Waving the Mexican flag,
burning the American flag.
I mean, they are not coming here to assimilate. They are coming here to fundamentally transform. And gee, where did we hear that before? 6 years ago. And that's been his stated goal, and that's been what they've been pursuing ever since. And I'll tell you what, you get another 34. And remember, all the numbers kept saying they were going to maybe talk about amnesty for 11 million, and I always maintained it was going to be 30 to 40, if not more.
If you guys recall,
34 million comes up.
If you guys recall, 2 years ago when he started talking about it, it was, we don't have but 10 to 11 million illegals. So either he was lying then, and he's let an influx of 23 million people in, or he's lying now, and there were 34 million planned to be here all along.
Oh, of course.
I mean, whatever. That's just like all the poor little kids. All those poor children crawling across the border all by themselves, needing their bottles and blankets.
But yet, God bless and rest in peace the 2 sheriff's deputies out in California that were shot by a gentleman that was deported, and not even a gentleman, scum that was deported twice, but yet was found back in the United States. Now 2 sheriff's deputies, their families are crying for them because they were shot by this guy. I mean, come on. Really?
Children will grow up without a parent because President Pandemic failed this nation.
He's got a lot of blood on his hands, folks. He's got a lot of blood on his hands.
Guys, I want to remind you guys of something else, too. Folks, with everything that is happening in this country, I want to take this opportunity for us not to forget. No one has been held accountable for Benghazi and the deaths of Chris Stevens, Shaun White, Chris Daughtry, or Tyrone Woods. No one has been held accountable for Fast and Furious and the death of Brian Terry. And Lois Lerner still walks free, and no one is being held accountable for the IRS.
And we've got a Marine sitting in a Mexican prison, rotting down there with PTSD. Nope, they're not even allowed to get in to interview him and ask him how he's doing. The Mexicans will not let them do that. So what does that tell you? That they're hiding. He might be in worse shape than we know. And there he sits down there in that prison. And we've got a potential traitor that was traded for 5 top-level enemies of the United States. And yet we've got a decorated Marine sitting in a Mexican prison, and nobody will lift a finger to help him out.
Well, I will give you a little bit up to date on this. As most of you guys know, Jill Tamarisi is is an associate of mine. We are somewhat friends. We have spoken. She was due to be on our show a couple of weeks ago, but they had an emergency Ebola drill at the hospital that she works for, and she was not able to fulfill her obligation here, and we completely understand. She is under a great deal of stress stress between traveling back and forth in her off time to Mexico to see her son, to California to deal with his lawyers, and to return home to the state of Florida to pay for her life. Again, she does have a website set up to assist in the funding of that, and you can find that link on www.thewtfradioshow.com at the bottom of the home page on the right-hand side at the request of Jill Tamarisi. But I have spoken with Jill, and according to her, Sergeant Andrew Tamarisi is in bad shape. Guys, let's not forget, he suffers from PTSD. He is not of a status to be sitting in a prison under these circumstances with this unsurmountable amount of stress.
A Mexican prison at that. Come on, folks. There's almost anywhere I'd rather be than a Mexican prison. Anywhere in Mexico, quite frankly, but especially a Mexican prison.
Well, Jill tells the stories of, how he has been mistreated. He has been restrained to a bed for 30 days straight. He has been beaten. He has been kicked. He is mistreated. He is not always fed. And he is getting zero medical care. It is shameful. Shameful. And in the meantime, our government, through our State Department budget, sends Mexico $460 million a year. Last year and scheduled, as I told you guys about that State Department USAID budget that I read, they've got it going on for $460 million for fiscal year 2015. I say, don't send them a dime till they send us Tamarisi.
I agree. I won't be visiting there. I won't be spending any money with anything from Mexico as far as I'm concerned. And that'll be even after he's released, just to continue making a statement, because this is despicable. It's disgusting. Got no use for him. Got no use for that country whatsoever. None of them. This is just this is atrocious.
And Dr. Josh, if you have anything to say about anything we're talking about, any topic we're hitting on, please feel free. You're on the line to step in.
Jump in.
Oh, you guys are doing a great job. No, I'm just listening. Yeah, healthcare is my specialty. So.
Well, something I do want to mention is in Oklahoma, State Congressman John Bennett has put a bill on the table for hyperbaric treatment for our veterans with PTSD. He too suffers from PTSD and had, prior to taking the hyperbaric treatment, found that the only way to calm himself or manage it was to go into a dark room and stay there for up to 3 or 4 days and be undisturbed. However, he has found that the hyperbaric treatment is very effective for him, and so he has placed a bill on the table. So you folks in Oklahoma, push that forward, please. Contact your representatives and push that bill forward. Anything to help our veterans. We already know that they are not being treated properly by our VA.
That's interesting treatment. If that shows promise, that's interesting. Yeah, definitely go for it.
Well, anything to help our veterans, and if it works for them in Oklahoma, let's get it going nationwide. We talked about last night the billions spent on refugees to bring them to this country, $2.05 billion scheduled for 2005. How about we spend that on our veterans, the guys who deserve it, the guys who, without them, we wouldn't have that $2 billion.
Good point. Good point.
Well, folks, I want to make sure to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We here at the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Show are very humbled to be able to provide y'all with the information. Very humbled by the wonderful comments that you guys give us, telling us that we're doing a great job. We really do appreciate it. We want to thank Dr. Josh Umber from Atlas MD.
Well, thank you.
Jose?
I'm just very thankful for this opportunity to be able to reach out to so many people and feel the love back. It's been the end of our third week already. It's when you're doing something you love, it truly goes by very quickly, and it indeed has. And I just want to say, for all the little ghouls and goblins that are going out tomorrow night, including my own, be very careful. It's about having fun and stuff. We're supposed to have snow tomorrow. I don't want to hear it, but I want everybody to be safe and enjoy it. It's a great time of the year for the little kids. They really seem to enjoy it. But be safe out there, folks. Because they're all over the place and they're not thinking like we do. Very careful about what they're doing and stuff. So make sure you're looking out for them. And I'm just looking forward to being back with you folks next week with a whole lot more news. And of course, folks, 5 days. If you haven't voted already, go vote and bring everybody with you that you can.
There you go.
And this will be it. This is where the rubber hits the road.
This is absolutely it, guys. We want to thank you so much. Our numbers for this show have surpassed our expectations by far, and we could not do that without your support. Please continue to give your support. Spread our name, spread our information.
Please,
share it. Tell your friends, people, your family, your coworkers to tune us in. If they enjoy it, ask them to share the information with their friends. That's how we're rolling, is by word of mouth, and we're doing an exceptional job, and it's not due to us, it's due to you. Guys, y'all make sure to stick around for DJ Stallion. We've enjoyed you this week. We'll see you again Monday 7 to 9. This is WTF, the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Show. I'm V. Wright.
I'm Jose Estevez, and God bless America.